All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here and for joining in. Today is Sunday, January 17th, 2021. Last night, well, let's see, how do I start this? We have a cat. See, depending on how you feel about this, but that's the case. We actually have a cat. And as far as it goes, it's a good cat. I like this cat. This is a cool cat in the truest sense of the word. But I got to tell you, last night we heard this owl. You see, and I don't know, it was maybe around 3 in the morning or something like that, and it felt for all the world like it was sitting right outside our bedroom window here in the Abbey. Whoo 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 whoo, like the whole thing. It's magic, beautiful sound. And I'm kind of in this half dream, half awake, whatever space, this liminal whatever. And somehow I started to get really concerned that the owl was going to like chew the cat, like catch the cat and like, whoo, take it away. And that'd be the end of our cat, and it's a rare moment where I had a feeling of affection for the feline creature, but I did. Actually, this cat is nice, but so I don't know. I mean, I've seen this owl a few times, kind of around, the temple grounds, but the sightings are very rare. It's a stealthy owl. This one, it's not a big in your face kind of owl, but there it was, kind of dominating the soundscape of the forest and the neighborhood, really. But I don't know if anyone knows. Is it actually true? Can an owl make prey of a fully formed cat? I wonder. But anyway, that's seen from the neighborhood in the Abbey, and then also they've made major, beautiful progress on the temple building. I was out there walking around and with Hoshi, masks and social distance and all this, and we were standing in the spaces that now internally have walls, and you can see, you can feel really how the thing's going to go. And we were remarking to each other, what an incredible adventure to go from having some ideas on a napkin, and I don't know how many iterations of floor plans and all this we've been through over the years, and it has been years, but to actually stand in a space and be like, yep, there's where the altar's going to be, and that's the greeting area, that's where the shoes ought to go, and this kind of thing. Wow, it's just an incredible thing to be a part of, and we, as Jigen pointed out to me a while ago, we grew this in these difficult years, in these very troubled years. One of the things that has happened is the Buddhist Temple of Toledo is building itself a home for real that will serve our current folks and those yet to come. So some wonderful things. An omen of an owl, and a safe cat, by the way, no problems. She was there doing cat stuff this morning when we woke up, so no worries. But an omen owl of good things, I'll take it. And rooms in the building, amazing to see. And the altar is cleaned up. It's much more spare now. I think I might have mentioned this before. In this time of the winter, it's not so much about bringing in muchness and feasting. It's kind of like bare, simple, clean. It's a great time to clean stuff out. And clutter around the house is kind of like a toxin in the body. Sorry, but I mean, that's just how it is. So it feels good when you kind of smooth things out after the time of muchness. It's just good to enjoy all realms of the cycle. So as I was pondering what to bring up this morning, Doan brought to me the Lotus Sutra. And I was recently having a conversation with Josh Bartok Roshi, and on the podcast, and I interviewed him about his new kids book, which is fantastic. And it's influenced very much by this particular bit of the Lotus Sutra. And I thought I would maybe bring it up a little bit. I think it's very topical and very timely, and a good frame, you know. And one of the things that I really enjoy about our Buddhist practice is it has a vast array of orientations, really. It has many, many, many gears and ways to engage. And depending on the individual person's causes and conditions and affinities and so on, there is an appropriate dose of spiritual training and religious practice that will actually help, you know. And, we in the West are often quick to try to put things in boxes, well, is it like this or is it like that, you know? And it's just not like that, It's like a marriage. It's a lot of things, especially over time and as it evolves and deepens. It's like that, So one of the gears, as Josh Bartok Roshi termed it, is the cosmic. And I think that's a useful frame, a cosmic frame. And this cosmic frame stands right alongside the simple, ordinary, everyday, just this, boom. Of course it does. These things don't compete or contradict. But they do bring out different qualities, and the cosmic, when we talk about the cosmic scale of, Bodhisattva Carl Sagan, of billions and billions, you know, well, we're kind of in the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra is a very, very solid place to encounter this if you haven't already. I mean, the Avatamsaka Sutra swims around in those waters. There are others, but Lotus Sutra is a big deal. And, it was very important to Dogen. In fact, it's in our Oryoki chant. If you think about it, if you can recall that, those who have seen it, the Wondrous Lotus Sutra, right? Mahayana Sutra. I mean, it's right in there as an object of veneration and practice. Every time we take a meal during training. You see, so yeah, that was clearly important to Dogen. This thing. So anyway, the cosmic invites us into a more liminal, dreamlike space, wherein we wonder: can owls carry away cats, or are dragons visiting, or like this? And I think it's important to know how to navigate those kinds of waters and to be good friends with all of the colors of the rainbow, all of the frequencies of the spectrum, including the imaginal and perhaps the real, the cosmic, the infinitude of things. Now, Buddhism itself has no problem with handily digesting infinity and the unknowability of it, and being quite comfortable in it. It does not shy away at all from the vast unknown and the vast many, many, many possibilities and cosmoses. The time scales that are brought forth in these traditional sutras are just incomprehensible. If you had, say, our entire cosmos as we know it, from what we currently term the Big Bang to whatever, the Big Crush, the Big Darkening, I mean, whatever happens. So there's a cycle, okay? And that whole thing is like a kalpa. And then so the whole Big Bang through the entire whatever concludes this batch of experimentation, we're all in together, that's a kalpa. And then, Buddha goes and makes these statements about so-and-so is going to be, as vast as many kalpas as there are grains of sand on the sacred river. It's just like this, it's just mind-blowing, like space of wow, and inconceivable and yet helpful. This is the point. There's actually a helpful angle that this kind of feeling can bring to bear. And I think one of the best and most topical examples of this is in fact, the Lotus Sutra. It's chapter 20, I think. And it talks about a particular bodhisattva called Bodhisattva Never Despising. That's it. Bodhisattva Never Despising. See. Now, this particular bodhisattva lives. Maybe I'll read a chunk so you can hear kind of the flavor of the thing in its original text, but I'll just kind of summarize the story, kind of as a preface, I suppose. Story time with Rinzan. Yes. So once upon a time, there was Buddha. I think it's like great awesome sound or something like that. We'll look at it in a moment. But this Buddha taught, and then there were a great flowering of the Dharma in this world system, and then the decline and the decay and the ending of that Dharma in that world system. And in that time arose Bodhisattva Never Despising. And what happens is basically he always sees the inherent Buddha nature, the Buddha in the inner Buddha, I guess you could say. I mean, he always acknowledges that. That's his lone and sole practice. And even when people disparage him and are upset with him and whatever, this bodhisattva's practice is to not despise them and acknowledge and in fact predict that at one point they will become a Buddha. So let's just let me read a little bit. Now there's lots of translations of the Lotus Sutra. I have probably 4 of them sitting around. This is just the one I kind of grabbed and I'm pretty fond of, translated by Burton Watson. All of them are, well, it's like Dogen. It's good to compare and contrast for those who might care about such things. But let me just read a chunk to you. Gosh, where to start? Okay, I'll go in here. I think I gave you a little bit of the setup. Yeah, this Buddha, Awesome Sound King. That was it. Awesome Sound King. I love the names in these Mahayana sutras. They're totally great. Bodhisattva, Awesome Sound King. That's great, huh? That's a great name. Huh? Would that be fun? Yeah, maybe that's Jimi Hendrix or something. Anyway. After the original Awesome Sound King, Thus Come One, had passed into extinction, and so Thus Come One is a title of Buddha, right? So after the original Awesome Sound King, Thus Come One, or Buddha, had passed to extinction, and after his correct law had also passed away in the period of his counterfeit law, there's this cyclical seasonality in the cosmic view, where Dharma, a Buddha arises in a world system where there isn't the Dharma. They discover and uncover the Dharma. They teach and propagate the Dharma, and it flourishes, and then it kind of stagnates, and then it declines, and then it perishes, and then another Buddha shows up, see? And so they would say that, okay, in our little world system here, Shakyamuni is like our guy, but there's infinite of them, and you are one of them. Ha. So anyway, I give away the punchline. Let's read further. So also had passed away into this period of his counterfeit law, monks of overbearing arrogance exercised great authority and power. Leaders of overbearing arrogance exercised great authority and power in this age of decline. Familiar theme, perhaps? At this time, there was a bodhisattva monk named Never Disparaging, or Never Despising. I think that's a good way to translate it. Now, gainer of great authority. This is the bodhisattva in the sutra that's asking the Buddha. Kind of like in the Heart Sutra, he says, Shakyamuni, this and that. Avalokiteshvara responds to him. So, gainer of great authority. For what reason was he named Never Disparaging? See, so you who are asking me about this, why is this bodhisattva named Never Disparaging? This monk, whatever persons he happened to meet, whatever persons he happened to meet, whether monks, nuns, laymen, or laywomen, he would bow in obeisance. I can't say the word. obeisance. Anyway, he'd bow to them reverently, let's say it like that, to all of them, and speak words of praise, saying, quote, I have profound reverence for you. I would never dare treat you with disparagement or arrogance. Why? Because you are all practicing the Bodhisattva way and are certain to attain Buddhahood. I do not despise you, for you will become a Buddha. That was his mantra. That was his mind training. I do not despise you, for you too will become a Buddha. And he's saying this to the arrogant, haughty leaders of the day, wielding great authority and power from their arrogance. And I do not despise you, for you too will become a Buddha. This monk did not devote his time to reading or reciting the scriptures and sutras, but simply went about bowing to people. And if he happened to see any of the four kinds of believers far off in the distance, this is a little bit of a setup. There's like four kind of messed up ways to try to engage, something like that. You know, four people that kind of aren't doing it right. Let's just make it that way. Whenever he'd see those four kinds of folks who didn't quite have it together in the distance, he would purposely go to where they were, bow to them, and speak words of praise, saying, quote, I would never dare despise you because you are all certain to attain Buddhahood. So that was this dude's practice, this person's practice, right? Practicing not despising. Like, that's a thing, folks. And timely. Because I don't know about you, but man, I can sit around and watch the news and I get I get some despising going on. I get some like, what the hell happening here? For sure. Yeah. And yet, you know what? Here's a really interesting response, to this, to actually take up the practice of not despising. Not just because, it's, be better. No, it's because this bodhisattva sees into the Buddha nature of those people, even if they're expressing in this lifetime as arrogant sons, as arrogant folk, right? Even if they're doing really, really harmful, negative stuff. Still, he guards his mind, and he guards his heart, and he guards his body, and he responds creatively with this mantra of, I will never despise you, for you are on the bodhisattva path, and one day you will become a Buddha. Do you see what he's doing there? It's very interesting. He's making a prediction of awakening. Now, for those who've had some encounter with this, you understand that's a serious thing. That is a big deal, actually, to have a prediction of awakening come your way. And this is part of where, a young person reached out to me this morning, having some insight into the necessity of lineage, and a teacher and a guide, and I would add a community, big time to that. Not just teacher and lineage and practice, but Sangha, right, son? Sangha. But part of this is the blessing from the ancestors. And there's this thing where if you want to get into the mandala, and you do, you need to be invited in. You need to be accepted. You need to be, the mandala has to welcome you in, and you have to be recognized by the mandala. Put it like that. See? And one of the things in the tradition is this business about having a prediction of coming to awakening one day. And it means, again, in the cosmic frame, this is always in the cosmic frame. It's also in the human realm frame right here in this earth, in this place, in this lifetime. This means, hey, you can come to awakening in this life. Let's do it. But in the cosmic sense, in the cosmic, playing in the key of the cosmos, it means that in some infinitely, or not infinitely, but some really long-ass time, you're going to actually do this thing, see, and you're going to realize the Dharma, and you're going to become a great Buddha. who will appear in a realm of suffering and preach the Dharma and bring folk to the alleviation of suffering. And yeah, you see, I see this in you. This is what's happening, and that has to come from, well, it has to come from someone who is that. Anyway, let's continue on. So I would never disparage you because you are certain to attain Buddhahood. Now, our plot continues here. Among the four kinds of believers, there were those who gave way to anger at this, their minds lacking in purity, and they spoke ill of him and cursed him, saying, "This ignorant monk, where does he come from, presuming to declare that he does not disparage us, presuming to declare that he does not despise us, and bestowing on us a prediction that we'll attain Buddhahood? We have no use for such vain and irresponsible predictions. Who the hell does he think he is?" With a gesture of meaning. They get him. Many years. So in other words, they received the prediction of this from the guy, from the Bodhisattva, and they were like pissed off about it because their arrogance just wouldn't hear it. See? Anyway, many years passed in this way, during which this monk was constantly subjected to curses and abuse. But he did not give way to anger, however, but each time spoke the same words. You are certain to attain Buddhahood. When he spoke in this manner, some among the group would take sticks of wood or tiles and stones and beat and pelt him. But even as he ran away, and he did run away, and took up his stance at a distance, okay, so not a martyr, not a victim. He left the scene. It was getting too weird. It was getting violent. He backed off. He went away. But even as he backed off and went away and moved into safety, he continued to call out in a loud voice, "I would never dare disparage you, for you are all certain to attain Buddhahood." And because he always spoke these words, the overbearingly arrogant monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen gave him the name Never Disparaging. See? Now the tale continues here, and it's a beautiful one, wherein Buddha, who's giving the discourse, says that, because, Bodhisattva Never Despising got it together and practiced this way, when he passed away, he had great insight into the true nature of all things, and attained Buddhahood himself, and indeed became Buddha and showed up in a realm as Buddha. And do you know who that was? Said Shakyamuni. Me, he says to the querent. So in the Lotus Sutra, the frame of reference is that Shakyamuni Buddha himself was this guy in a distant lifetime ago. And the karma that brought him to his Buddhahood as Shakyamuni, the causes and conditions that had ripened in this life, were sown because of that never disparaging, never despising others. And taking care of himself, moving to a distance where it's okay, but still training his mind and training his heart and training his body and being creative about this, you see. Now, if I'm honest about it, and I try to be about these things, I've had a little bit of despising going on. Yeah, I think I can say that. I don't think that's an overstatement. I mean, it's easy to do, especially if you notice, just contrast that with how much in the media is like designed to keep you despising, right? It's not rational conversation about pros and cons and ways forward and how to improve things. I mean, delightfully a little bit here and there. But by and large, a lot of the stuff that a lot of folks are taking as true is basically an IV drip of despisement. It's a constant drip of why you should be completely pissed off at them, whoever them happens to be. And here's the big Dharma problem with that, okay? The essential mistake, the cause of all the samsaric sufferings, is this fundamental misperception about who and what we are, about what the true nature of ourselves and each other and the cosmos itself actually is. And the problem here, dear one, is that that caustic, despise, disdain-ridden, arrogant, righteous mind can never see, by definition, it can never see the true reality of things. And so when we practice, and it is a practice, when we practice despising others, and I mean literally despising others, when we practice that, we're practicing delusion. And that is not acceptable. We need to do better than that. Those of us that are lucky enough and fortunate enough to have found lineage and found Sangha and have a body and a mind that's sound enough to like do stuff. All right. It's not acceptable to be practicing delusion, even when it surrounds us, even when it's all over the place, even when folks are just sloshing back and forth and a lot of sloppy thinking. Still, all right. We need to hold each other in love and in compassion, not some kind of a forced aphorism, but actually seeing the true nature of the other person, even if it's expressing in a way that needs consequences and is not acceptable and needs to be addressed. I'm not saying you just give up and don't care about stuff. I mean, we need to care, and we need to press on, and we need to be engaged. But as we press on and engage, we have to do it from a place of awakening, from a place of love, from a place of compassion and equanimity and creativity, not from a place of hatred, not from a place of despising. See? Now take heart on this, okay? This even though this might, to our ears today, sound like a tailored something that has just come down from whatever Buddha heaven to address the ills of this moment. Look, y'all, this sutra is an old thing. This has been around for a long time. And it was just as relevant and real centuries before the current oddness was even a possibility in the world, right? Completely different culture, completely different time, completely different set of fucked up circumstances. And yet, samsara is as samsara does. And you know what? It's the same in all these massive cosmoses and all these other world systems and what all. It's always like this. It's not, it's just this is how it happens to be showing up right now. And it's this core mistake. I'm here, you're there. I'm right, you're wrong. Or you're right, I'm wrong. Whatever. This not despising, by the way, includes yourself. Must. It doesn't get mentioned in the Lotus Sutra. That's a bit of a lack, I think. So include yourself in this never despising. You're going to do stuff you don't like. You're going to make bad calls. You're going to make good calls and not follow through on them the way you expected yourself to. Like, no kidding, right? Same thing, though. Same thing. I would never despise myself because I am a Buddha. I am going to become a Buddha. See, so I might be a little bit out of whack at the moment, but that's all it is. See, and ultimately, the true nature of yourself, the true nature of myself, the nature of that owl, the nature of the hearing of it, the nature of the dream about the cat's safety, the nature of the paper this Lotus Sutra on my desk is printed on. All of it is the same nature. The sun, the moon, the stars, the space in between them, everything in this cosmos that ever was or will be, and any cosmos ever that ever has been or will be. Same. So, I invite you to take up the practice of not despising other folks. Take it up. Even if you don't want to. Don't despise the practice of not despising. All right, everybody, let's dedicate our merit. Let's dedicate the merit of today's Dharma Talk to those who are just filled with the despising of others. May that one suffering just be alleviated. May this great obstacle to awakening be removed. May all those who suffer from it and the causes of it find relief. May it be so. All right, everybody, stay with it now.